1950s are considered to be the golden age for movies, and sci-fi was particularly a rising genre among movie buffs back in the day. With new tales of aliens invading the Earth and space travelers embarking on explorations, the sci-fi genre kept the viewers hooked to the screens with classic releases, such as The War of the Worlds and The Thing from Another World. Today, we come to you with some of our top picks in the genre, and without further ado, let us jump right into the top 10 sci-fi films from the 1950s. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. 1. The War of the Worlds, 1953. Adapted from H.G. Wells' sci-fi novel by the same name, The War of the Worlds was a 1953 movie directed by Byron Haskin. While the novel was set in Victorian-era England, the movie took place in California and followed a similar plot of an alien invasion that would possibly stir up war on Earth. As tensions rise, American scientist Clayton Forrester takes it upon himself to study the aliens and try to find their weaknesses to put a stop to the madness. As the story progresses, they learn that aliens hailed from Mars and that the United States government intended to drop an atomic bomb on the Martian war machines. However, the bombs have no effect on the war machine, and Forrester eventually discovers that the bacteria on Earth is enough of a weapon to weaken the Martian war machines and leave the aliens defenseless. As the movie comes to an end, the narrator talks about the failure of scientific advancements in saving humanity, while God's minor creations stepped in to defend Earth. The War of the Worlds is a striking sci-fi film down to the last scene, and it also won an Academy Award for visual effects. In fact, the movie inspired several sci-fi films in the future, and Steven Spielberg also released an adaptation of the film in 2005. 2. When Worlds Collide, 1951. Released by Paramount Pictures, When Worlds Collide was a 1951 sci-fi film that followed the impending destruction of Earth after the crash of a rogue star. The movie kicks off with a quote from the book of Genesis, which talks about God's decision to wipe out humanity. In the meantime, Dr. Emery Bronson discovers this rogue star, Belus, is accompanied by a gigantic planet, Zyra, and that these extraterrestrial bodies are on a collision course with Earth. They also realize that the only way to safeguard the future of humankind is by building a space ark to send a bunch of men and women to the planet of Zyra. Soon enough, a bunch of people on a space rocket to continue life elsewhere, and the movie builds a tense, suspense-filled environment in which we learn to survive in space. It also sheds light on human nature and the class personalities. Humankind's fate is at risk, along with a romance as the main leads, Joyce and David Randall, find love even in such a precarious situation. The movie wraps up on a hopeful note as the crew enters Zyra's atmosphere and discovers that the planet is habitable. Joyce and David especially get their happy ending as they walk hand in hand down the spaceship's ramp to start a new life. 3. The Day the Earth Stood Still, 1951. Inspired by Harry Bates' short story, Farewell to the Master, this 1951 sci-fi release was renamed The Day the Earth Stood Still by Robert Wise. The film was set in the Cold War in the early phases of the nuclear arms race, and it followed a humanoid alien named Klaatu, who made his way to Earth to warn us about the disastrous effects of nuclear war. Klaatu was also accompanied by a powerful robot, Gort, and they tried to convince the U.S. Army to arrange a meeting with all world leaders simultaneously. However, the president's secretary tells them that organizing such a meeting amid the Cold War would be impossible, and Klaatu then decides to escape and live a life among regular humans. He soon meets Helen Minson and her son Bobby at a boarding house, and Bobby then takes Klaatu to visit Professor Barnhart. He even tells him that other beings in space are concerned about humanity's plans to develop rockets and atomic-powered weapons, and that they might take action to eliminate Earth if things remain the same. As things escalate, Barnhart tries to gather scientists from all over the world to share this message, while the army tracks them down and even kills Klaatu. In an unfortunate turn of events, Klaatu's robot partner, Gort, temporarily revives him and sets things up for their departure. As they leave in their spaceship, Klaatu warns humanity against using their atomic weapons and further establishes that they will have no choice but to obliterate them if things remain the same. As far as sci-fi movies go, The Day the Earth Stood Still is a refreshing addition to the genre as it puts a spin on traditional alien species. While these extraterrestrial beings are typically viewed as a threat, this movie sheds light on some of humankind's dangerous inventions and highlights how we can be our worst enemies. 4. Them, 1954. Produced by Warner Brothers Pictures, Them was a 1954 black and white film that went on to win an Oscar award for its special effects. The film introduced the concept of nuclear monsters on the big screen and was adapted from an original story by George Worthing Yates. Them started out as a simple suspense movie, wherein the police look into some mysterious disappearances and death. However, the plot soon takes a twist for the worse, as the crimes are linked to gigantic, irradiated ants, who remained undiscovered for the most part. As the police look into the crimes, they discover copious amounts of formic acid in the dead bodies, and it takes a whole lot of effort on the FBI's behalf to finally discover these ants that originated from the depths of the New Mexico desert. This film takes us for a wild ride, as the Ant Queen hatches more gigantic ants and unleashes them upon the city, while the FBI agents scramble to destroy them with the help of flamethrowers. Among other sci-fi films that focus on aliens or outer space, Them was a refreshing release that explored a seemingly harmless insect species in the form of enlarged monsters. It ends with a warning for humanity as we enter the atomic age, and it is undeniably a unique addition to this list. 5. The Thing from Another World, 1951. Also known as The Thing, this 1951 sci-fi film was directed by Christian Nyby and can be best described as a combination of sci-fi and space horror. The film begins with the United States Air Force crew stumbling upon a crashed flying saucer in the Arctic, and things soon get serious as Dr. Arthur Carrington inspects the crash. Much to everyone's horror, he discovers a humanoid body lying next to the crashed saucer and decides to thaw the freezing creature in the hopes of studying it. While his intentions are pure, the humanoid turns out to be plant-based alien, aka The Thing. This creature soon reveals its intentions to destroy humanity, and the Air Force crew does their best to subdue it before it can do much more harm. However, they soon realize that the Thing cannot be underestimated, and the movie takes an unfortunate turn as tiny alien plants start sprouting from the humanoid seeds. The Thing from Another World is essentially a sci-fi horror film, as the crew strives to eradicate this plant-based alien and get rid of its seeds before it takes over the planet. The movie especially deserves some recognition for creating an environment of tension, with a dash of jaw-dropping action sequences. The scene where the crew uses kerosene to set the alien on fire still remains one of the most iconic film scenes of all time, and even the most hardcore sci-fi horror fans were utterly shocked by it. 6. The Incredible Shrinking Man, 1957. Starring Grant Williams in the lead role as the Incredible Shrinking Man. This 1957 classic was directed by Jack Arnold. It is based on Richard Matthews' novel, The Shrinking Man. And as the name suggests, it follows Williams' character Scott as he finds himself shrinking in size after being enveloped in a strange fog. As the mist clears up, Scott goes about his life for months before noticing that he appears to be shrinking. With time, he shrinks to the size of a little boy and starts catching the public's eye in an unfortunate turn of events. He even ends up lashing out at his wife, but his tantrums do nothing to cure his condition, and he eventually shrinks to a point where he can fit into a dollhouse. At this stage, Scott channels his frustration by fighting the family cat, which results in him ending up in the basement all alone as he realizes that he is smaller than an insect. He has a hard time navigating the basement and defending himself against a spider, but he eventually accepts his fate as he shrinks to a subatomic size. The Incredible Shrinking Man might have a silly premise, but it is a fascinating tale of resilience as Scott comes to terms with the fact that he still matters within the universe, as long as God knows he exists. While Scott faces worse hardships as he continues to shrink with every passing minute, this movie serves a platter full of entertainment for the viewers, and is one of the lighter, more refreshing films on this list.
You'll be all right now. I know it's working!
7. The Fly, 1958. Starring David Hedison in the lead role, The Fly follows the life of scientist Andre DeLombe as he gets caught up in a strange experiment. The movie kicks off with his death in a hydraulic press accident. And to make things worse, his wife confesses to the crime and takes the fall for his death. As the film progresses, his wife refuses to give any motive for the crime and even appears obsessed with a white-headed fly. However, we soon learn that Andre had been working on a device called the disintegrator integrator, and he had been testing on the family pets before he got caught up in the machine. As the device malfunctioned, Andre was caught in it with a fly, which resulted in him developing a strange deformity. While he had the head and left arm of a fly, the fly had a miniature head and arm, and Andre had then enlisted his wife's help to find the fly and make things right. He hoped that he could reverse the accident, but things soon spun out of control and resulted in his death in the hydraulic press. While the police find his wife guilty of murder, they soon stumble upon the deformed fly and realize that the entire incident was true. However, they decide to declare Andre's death as a suicide, since nobody would believe the strange nature of these events. The Fly is truly one of the most fascinating sci-fi films on this list, as it explores the absurdity of human experimentation and its devastating consequences. The film starts out as a murder mystery, but it is a true sci-fi flick packed with strange experiments, family drama, and out-of-the-box circumstances. 8. Journey to the Center of the Earth, 1959. Directed by Henry Levin, Journey to the Center of the Earth was inspired by Jules Verne's book by the same name, and it quite literally follows a crew's journey to the center of the Earth. This movie is an exciting adaptation of a classic, and it follows Professor Lindenbrook as he stumbles upon a strange volcanic rock. As he studies it in depth, he finds out that the rock has a cryptic inscription with directions to reach a passage to the center of the Earth. And he then works with his student, Alec, to locate it. As they embark on this journey, they clash with Professor Getteborg, who is determined to locate the passage before then, but he soon ends up dead and leaves his widow behind. With no choice but to take her along, Professor Lindenbrook and Alec are shocked upon discovering the heart of the Earth, but bigger questions arise as they try to navigate their way back to the surface. Journey to the Center of the Earth is one of the most exciting sci-fi films, as it not only explores scientific phenomena or monstrous creatures, but also takes us on a wild adventure in the pits of the Earth. The movie received raving reviews from fans and critics alike, and it is packed with some bizarre special effects and strange characters who stumble into our protagonist's way. 9. Invasions of the Body Snatchers, 1956. Released in 1956, Invasion of the Body Snatchers was directed by Dom Siegel, and it can best be described as a sci-fi horror. The film embodies the tense, anxious feeling that comes with dealing with unknown forces of nature, and it has a jaw-dropping twist that further makes this movie a must-watch. The film is centered around an extraterrestrial invasion in a small town in California, where alien plant spores fall from space and grow into huge seed pods in the Earth's favorable environment. Soon enough, these pods start growing into exact replicas of human beings, and they ingrain the habits of personalities and memories of these humans while they fall asleep. These body snatchers make great progress with their plans to infiltrate and invade humanity, but things soon take a turn when Dr. Bennell uncovers their secret. He realizes that one of his patients has been complaining about how his loved ones have been replaced by imposters, and he almost diagnoses him with Kagura delusion before stumbling upon the truth about the body snatchers. Invasion of the Body Snatchers is a masterclass in the sci-fi genre, and it is packed with suspense as the viewers are left on the edge of their seats until the very end. It attained cult classic status over the years, and the body snatchers, or the pod people, also became a popular slang term after the film's release. 10. Invaders from Mars, 1953 film. Directed by William Menzies, Invaders from Mars was a 1953 film that was released by 20th Century Fox. The film follows a young boy named David McLean, who gets caught up in a whole lot of chaos after witnessing a flying saucer land in the sandpit behind his home. He soon asks his father to look into the crash, but things take an unfortunate turn as his dad starts acting strangely after returning. While David seems to be the only one to notice the change in his dad's behavior, he soon realizes that his mother, relatives, and everyone else around him are acting differently. It does not take him long to realize that they are all under the alien invaders' control, who had seemingly implanted mind control devices in their necks. With no one around to help him, David enlists the help of Dr. Blake and Dr. Kelston and manages to get the situation under control by notifying the military. While the military locates the aliens' underground base, the movie ends up on a confusing note as David wakes up from his sleep and wonders whether these events occurred or if he imagined them. Invaders from Mars is the perfect last addition to the list, as it is a true sci-fi film with a blend of elements such as extraterrestrial species, threats to humanity, and a dash of horror. It has some good old cliches, such as mind-controlled beings and attacks involving the military. And it also does a wonderful job of capturing David's helplessness when he realizes that he has lost everyone around him to the aliens. Upon its release, Invaders from Mars captivated the viewers, as fans rooted for David to solve this impending crisis and save his loved ones. Marvelous verdict. And with that, we come to the end of this video that explores some of the best sci-fi films from the 1950s. From terrorizing tales of aliens and crashing UFOs, to space adventures and life-threatening missions, this list was overflowing with some stellar movie recommendations, and we would love to hear your top picks in the comments below.